best place to start for this video, which is my GitHub. And then, so if you look at my GitHub, I've got about 35 repositories that I've released. All of these are completely open source MIT releases, and then a lot of them are like really popular. And they all do different things like all across the board. Same thing with my Hugging Face. I've got 13 models that I've released, 13 data sets as well, and then some of them are really popular. These are all, again, like related to, and they're all fully released, 100% open source. So I don't make a dime off of anything that I've released so far with regards towards any of this. And then so kind of like the big next step then from there then is like what do I pick to monetize from this, and like how do I monetize from this, right? And it's kind of like a big question that people answer, and a lot of people answer or ask around AI, like what's the monetization strategy? So that's kind of the point of this video, is like, so from my perspective, my chief and primary like relationship and concern with AI is like AI, like research and development, right? Like I'm not the like other aspects of it aren't necessarily as like the corporate aspects overall, and like monetizing overall aren't like the biggest concerns for me like at all times, right? Like it's not my number one concern when I've gone into any of this, but like you have to make money at some point. So like you have to pick a strategy then, like how exactly am I going to do that? And so for me, it's like really straightforward as far as that strategy, and I choose kind of that like Amazon approach, which is like what's the most successful like and the biggest chance for success of any strategy that I could pick. And then so within that, to me, it's cybersecurity. And then I notice a gap currently in cybersecurity with regards towards AI models. And then so very specifically, I look at this is the latest release with regards towards this paper, Leftover Locals, listening to LLM responses through leaked GPU local memory. And then that's what made me put out, and I created originally the GitHub repository for GPU Intruder Detector, this product here. I created this about a week ago, and direct response, and like because of this Leftover Locals paper, it made me think about this subject more again. And then I've gone through, and then so I have other projects, right, like PFAF, other ones that are honestly like a lot more interesting to me overall, probably. Like, but when we're talking about what is going to like be the best monetization strategy overall, it's this in my mind, hands down. And then so I've gone through essentially recently, and then like this weekend, and then I went through and I updated and then kind of built out this repository like significantly more than it was. And then so now at this point, I've got full install of Linux, and then as well as a simple demo of Google Colab in Google Colab. And then so the simple demo we're looking at here, and then so it's pretty straightforward, right? So this is the code. It's a lot of code. I say it's straightforward, but like that's the thing, right? Like you have to run a lot of code with this. Like I think actually just to point out what I'm running here at the end here is just this one last cell, which is this cell here. So starting here. So pip install dash, and then this Jupyter dash you don't need. I can get rid of that in the code. And then CSV, and then dash components, subprocesses, PS utility. I need NumPy in here, multiprocessing, pandas, Jupyter dash. Again, I can remove that. Logging, threading, and Flask. Flask is for like the visual components. And then so defining the dashboard, just creating the function for the dashboard here. And then creating the monitoring intervals. This is important. Like so, this is 60-second intervals, and then you can change this and then reduce this. This is in seconds. So 60 seconds, 1 minute, right? You can make it 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 hour, whatever you want to make the interval. You can fully adjust there, and then this is good for whatever your GPU vendor is. And then so in this instance for this, I'm telling it to run because I was running it with the T4, so that's NVIDIA Tesla T4. So NVIDIA, and then just going through more parameters as far as like the intervals and what to match. And then so this is what the like current kind of monitoring is doing, and it's basing it off of a z-score threshold, and it's currently based off up to 3. And then so you can adjust this z-score threshold up and down. And then so what that means is like z-score is like deviations from the norm. And then so 3 deviations from the norm, it's gonna execute, and it's gonna throw and say that there's like something going on within the different. So this is kind of like a very like simplistic implementation of this code. You can fully adjust this, right? And then so that's the overall point of this, and of this release, is that I'm releasing like the most simplistic version of this that you could. 100% free, and that's kind of the goal, right? Like it's like this is the free version of it, and it is admittedly z-score is there's multiple other and plethora options that you could do to like increase the complexity of the configuration. But so for this, it's just like the most basic is z-score. And then so going from there, it's again it depends on your vendor, so it has options, again, a lot of flexibility depending on the vendor, whether it's a NVIDIA or a GP or a AMD. And then this is like arguments as to what exact metrics that you want to get from the GPU data. And then so you can update this. This is pulling in at this point like index, memory usage, temperature, the power draw. It's keeping a timestamp if a timestamp doesn't exist, and then it's putting all of this together into an index that it calls the GPU data, and then it writes the index directly to a CSV file, and then so it gives you a record of that, and then from that CSV file, it then starts pulling back, and then the next function that we're looking here for the live updating and for the line plotting from the CSV file. So it takes that data from your CSV file, and then it plots it out into graphs. And then so in this instance, with this notebook, I'm not running any GPU. Like I'm not running, this code isn't executing or running GPU in this particular instance while it's running. So in this test that ran, but so you can see here that it's running and keeping track of the intervals, but then it's going to show like 0 usage the whole time, because that's what happened the whole time. And then it executed for 3 minutes during this example. And then with just a very few simple modifications to this code here, you could make this also monitor your CPU functions as well. And then you could define your CPU functions as well, right? So CPU functions to GPU functions, and then also as well with a few other simple modifications to the code, you could update and you could change the z-score threshold, and you could change it so it doesn't base it off of z-score threshold. You could do it off of like linear regression algorithms. If you want to get into like very narrow AI, you could even plug in a neural network off of this, and then go like very extreme and go up from there. So there's a multitude of options that you can go with this if you know how to do it. And then so I released the code, and that's kind of the goal of releasing the code 100% open source, right? So if you know how to do those things, you know exactly what I'm talking about within that, and you know exactly how to do that, then go ahead, take this code, and you can do that to your heart's content. If these are things that you want to have implemented within your organization, like within your corporation, you want like a corporate Iron Dome is like what I'm very much leaning towards right now, as to like the consumer version of this is like the corporate Iron Dome, right? And then so the corporate Iron Dome, the way that I look at it and envision it is that it has essentially 3 levels. And then so level 1 is what we're looking at here with the demo, but then with just a little bit more built out. So it would have more monitoring, and then a few more options, and then a few more bells and whistles as far as this visualization that we're looking at here. And then you wouldn't be running it from the Colab here environment. You'd be running it like, so it could all be on a nice front end, and then so you don't have to look at and just interact with the code there. And then the next option up would be exactly, I've already laid it out to you. So next option up that I would do is I would replace that z-score with a linear regression model. So like I would replace it and then still monitor these same things, but it would be a linear regression function that would learn and keep track of the history of this. And then so rather than saying that it's 3 deviations, the linear regression model would be able to detect, I would train it very specifically on like AI-based intrusions compared to human-based intrusions, and then also human-based intrusions, right? And then so with that linear regression model, you would get the flexibility then of like you get more detection, and then you can also specialize it. Like, do you want to increase and go more towards human detection threats or more towards AI detection threats? And then the next level up from there would be kind of like, again, like the neural network, right? Like, so more full scale, and that's where you got like a lot more advanced than you're going to ever get from a linear regression as far as that flexibility of those threat detections, right? Like if you're having massive threat detection, like you want the literal ultra, like you want the smart Iron Dome, and you want your Iron Dome to be able to patrol every instance of your environment and be able to report and tell you exactly what's going on in your environment, then it gives you that flexibility, right? And then that's kind of the goal that I'm leaning towards within this, and within kind of corporatizing and monetizing all of this, is that it's three options, like uh, no AI at all, please, like very narrow AI, or give me all the AI. And then I want to play in, to me, like that, those ancillary playgrounds, right? Like this product, like it's not a direct AI product, like but it's monitoring, it's security for and around AI products, but the product itself isn't necessarily and doesn't have to be AI based, which is like the overall full intention of this. And like everything that we're looking at here with this Colab demo, none of it is, again, AI based. Like it's all just using Z-score and very simple, like simple Python programming. And then so and this is it, just this one cell, which again, like this cell is, I mean, like maybe 300 lines, right? Like I don't know, maybe less than that probably, but it's a lot of lines. But it's one cell, and then it runs, and then it executes, and it does all the stuff. And then this is requirements already satisfied because it already ran before, like all of those installs that we're doing. All those installs require, like they're installing a lot of stuff, right? Because it requires a lot of installs to make all of this happen, and then to get this, especially this visualization. Like once you get into the, just so you know, like once you get into like the visualizations of the application, and like putting on like this Flask element on top and this dash, it's a dashboard, starts to get like complex as far as like complicating the software, because especially because I need to, what this code is doing within this cell as well. One other thing that I didn't mention is that it's running all of this within parallel processes, right? So it's running, and then it's doing the monitoring, and then parallel to the monitoring, it's writing to the CSV file, and then parallel to writing to the CSV file, it's reading from the CSV file for the graphing function that you're looking at there. And then so like you have to put in a whole bunch of code for it to do this processing, and then how exactly you want all of that to execute, and all of that stop time, the multiprocessing values and multiprocessing process itself. So I like, well, I say that to me it's simplistic. It's simplistic to me because I spent now a weekend, a whole entire weekend, and plus more, like when I first created this code, going through the code now, and then so now this code is like very simplistic and straightforward to me. It's backward and forward, and then so I look forward to discussing more with anyone that's interested with regards towards either the MIT release of GPU intruder detector, or of the corporate release of the corporate Iron Dome. And so I will start steadily putting out more commercialized products along this kind of approach and guideline. And I'm going to stick with this model, right? So my model is, and my motto is with regards towards my monetization and how I'm expecting to do this, and giving education around that whole aspect there, and ending the video with that, is very simplistically sticking exactly with what I've been doing with all of the open source releases, very like, and doing more to me in regards towards that than like what is like the norm and what's required, right? Like, so for me, I think I've started seeing a lot of arguments with regards towards it's not really open source if you're not releasing the data and the data sets. And I had kind of trouble with that at first, because I was like, well, like how else are you going to monetize? There's ways that you can still monetize, and so like that's like the goal is like, do you want to like advance things forward and do all of this, or like do you want to actually put your money where your mouth is as far as like the what your like actual goals are behind like all of this development, or like do you want to try to make money in the end? And I think you start seeing dividing lines on that front, and then so to me it's like I've been able to work out where my dividing lines are on that, like very clearly, which is like I don't have to compromise on any level. Like again, I release the code and the data set's 100% free, 100%. You can do whatever you want with them. You can credit me, not credit me. You can take them. You can build a competing company against me with them. If you can do that, then and all of that, then that's like up to you, right? Like that's your prerogative and your goal. And then you put in all the same work that I've done, then you've paid the price for admission, basically. Like to me, I'm not trying to cap the idea. Like this is just the best one that I've come up with at the moment. And then there's other ones that I'd rather work on. It's just at the moment, like I need monetization, right? And then so I'm in the same boat as a lot of people in that regard. I'm running a startup, and then so I need monetization. I need capital, and then so this is where I'm leaning into as far as like capital for the business. You hear also oftentimes a lot with like regards towards startups, a lot of pivots up front and going through that. Like, and then so you often wonder from the outside, what do those look like? So hopefully this video gives you kind of some sort of insight with that, right? So for about a year, I've been researching IT or artificial intelligence. I've been in IT for about 20 years, and then so, but going hard into the artificial intelligence like kind of startup space in like stealth, I would call it like stealth startup mode for about a year, and then now it's getting to the point, and I'm starting to see it all around, right, where it's like you're starting to see like casualties of like people starting to fold, and then people starting to like draw battle lines, and then the big question is starting to emerge is like how exactly are people going to monetize, and then that's the big question that I'm seeing as far as these casualties is like uh, who is able to monetize and how far like are they just AI wrappers that are we're expecting to build out their entire product based off of like GPT-4 and like OpenAI, and that model has been shown to not work because for a lot of reasons, but like so uh, that's kind of where the camps are from my point of view, and where everything lies. And then so for me, it's just very straightforward and simple to like dive in. And so this is my niche starting out, but it won't be my niche moving forward. I'll pivot from here if I need to, but this is my uh, latest pivot into GPU intruder detector and the corporate Iron Dome. So if you like this type of video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.